I started playing Dead by Daylight a couple months ago. Granted, I don't have much time on the game, however, while I was on holiday I got really into watching YouTube videos on it. One of the main draws of the game is the collaborations they do with horror icons, and with Halloween today I decided to undertake the impossible. Watch every film with a killer in DVD. Sounds easy, right? Well, it's easier said than done. Dead by Daylight has 9 killers whose origins come from horror films. Technically it's 8, but Ghostface is close enough to Scream. As of writing this intro, I've already seen the whole Alien franchise, except for Alien vs Predator Requiem, and I just watched Scream this morning. And since FNAF was recently announced to be coming next year, I'll add that. I've already seen that movie too. Now, I'm not that into horror. Alien is the exception there. Truthfully, I don't think I handle horror too well, so this is somewhat of a challenge to actually watch all these, at least I think it will be. And on a final note, I want to add that I cannot possibly do these films the justice they deserve in these short reviews I give them. But I do want to give my first impressions, and I would encourage all of you to give them a shot. Every film. So, let's begin chronologically. Quite possibly the best film ever made. I watched the original a couple years ago, and I just recently watched the whole franchise in the lead up to Romulus's release. Easily one of the best, but let's stick to the original. The Xenomorph is not only the perfect organism, it is the perfect horror monster, with its biomechanical sexual aesthetic being simultaneously large but able to fit into tight spaces, and it camouflages perfectly into the interior of the Nostromo. The characters are so believable with great chemistry, and their interactions are a delight to watch. I honestly think this is possibly my favourite film of all time. If you don't like horror films, this is a great Halloween film to make fun of with your friends. The practical effects are amazing, although it's by no means a great film, it's definitely a fun ride. I was never into the franchise. A lot of my friends were when I'm younger. So I didn't have the expectations or the nostalgia going into this, but it was fun. I enjoyed it.
You're not scared, are you? Scream.
Why would Shaggy do that? I knew most of the spoilers before watching this film, and even so, I enjoyed it immensely. The killer manages to be terrifying despite his incompetence, and I find that weirdly impressive. The opening scene is so chilling. Throughout the film, there are also funny moments that counteract the scary scenes, which makes me question, why does Scary Movie exist? Why do they think to just make Scream, but shit?
Live or die. Make your choice.
Going into this video, I was looking forward to Saw and Nightmare on Elm Street the least. Having now watched the first 2 Saw films, I can say my fears were not warranted. Completely honest, they weren't very interesting. They made use of some interesting editing techniques that I appreciated, although the ending to Saw 2 gave massive trailer vibes. Like, it was strange, I can't lie. The second one was worse than the first, however it did include 2 of my least favourite things, eye violence and needles, so that may have contributed to my disapproval. If you like schlocky gore, watch these films, but I won't be watching past the ones I own on DVD.
Right now, you are breathing in a deadly nerve agent.
The one, the only, the classic Halloween.
How did I not know this was a John Carpenter film? The handheld POV shot in the beginning very effectively set the tone. The film excelled in building tension, and Myers made for an interesting antagonist. It was perhaps a bit odd watching this after Scream, which made fun of all the tropes in this film particularly. But I think it was still an excellent film.
Michael? Halloween.
This one may come as a shock since it's not a film, but the characters are in DVD and I had time to watch it, so here it is. The first season was only 4 episodes, but it was very good. It presents an interesting take on Dracula as character, as well as providing a critical portrayal of institutionalized religion. Not to mention boasting some amazing animation. I highly recommend the show, having never played the games. Season 2 feels more like an extension of Season 1 than a separate season. It had a more conclusive ending, while still leaving room for more storytelling. And I think the following seasons pick that up and continue it very well.
The man who'll kill Dracula.
What happened was true.
The day I watched this, I was recommended a YouTube video that called this the slasher that's still scary. At the time, I didn't watch the video because of spoilers, but I would disagree with the premise if that is what it's about. It was tense, and the chase sequences were dynamic. Great use of cinematography aligned us with the protagonist in their confusion. The opening very effectively established the unnerving tone of the movie, with a series of close-ups of rather graphic edifice of corpses, accompanied by an eerie high-pitched noise. A solid film, although the ending was very abrupt. I feel like I actually need to watch the sequel to this one. Not something I'd say for any of the previous films. Hashtag Justice for Franklin.
Hellraiser.
I like this movie a lot, but I think after watching Texas Chainsaw, I kept expecting the movie to end abruptly, and it just kept going on. Not a bad thing at all, just a confusion of expectations. I bought the trilogy of films, but again, I don't particularly care to see them, although my friend insists the new ones are better. Minor spoiler here, random dragon skeleton at the end was so strange and so cool. I think this was quite an enjoyable film. Very unusual, but I liked it. Having now seen the second and third ones, I will say that the second one does an excellent job at continuing the story of the first one. The third one, however, is a disgrace to Pinhead's characterization. Oh my god. It was a decent film on its own, but I just hated everything they did with the character.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Conceptually, I think Freddy Krueger is the scariest slasher monster that I know of. There is no running or fighting back against the Dream Demon. I think, throughout most of the film, he was a very interesting villain and somewhat scary, although the end was truthfully quite comical in my opinion. I've heard Freddy devolves into more of a joke in later films, and I think he may have inspired Beetlejuice to some degree. But I think he has a goofy quality in this film that doesn't totally take away from his scariness. I can wholeheartedly recommend this movie. It may not live up to the standards that it set at the time it came out as the scariest horror film. However, the compelling story and cinematography made it a captivating watch, with some very interesting editing techniques to mimic film cameras. Sadako was a great villain, and I find it very funny that Yuichi, of all characters, made it into DVD.
About child's play.
I have thoughts on this film. I definitely enjoyed it more than Saw. I think it was enjoyable with some decent horror films. The quippy one-liners were an interesting choice, but I suppose they did give Chucky a unique draw in the horror space. However, some of them were odd.
Well, John, it's been fun, but I gotta go. I have a date with a 6-year-old boy.
And having other characters participate separate from Chucky, I think, took away from it. The seriousness of it. I don't know. I like some of the POV shots from Chucky, and the humour does contextualise the gender fluid clip some more for me.
You know, I have a queer kid.
You have a kid.
Gender fluid.
I know there were some licensed that I missed, big ones like Stranger Things or Resident Evil, and some of these were due to lack of time or being unable to find the right things, some for other reasons. Unfortunately, my PC broke down during the production of this video, so I've had to rush to get it out right before Halloween to get it out on time. If you want to see me review the rest of the licenses, including survivors, such as Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, and Ash Williams from Evil Dead, well, like and subscribe for more. I enjoy making these types of videos more than editing down stream highlights, although they take more thought and consideration to produce, so let me know if you want to see more.